Got another question. Have you thought about leaving LA? When I say LA, I'm speaking about LA County. If so, where have you? Well, first off, why are you thinking about leaving LA? Where are you going, or where are you thinking about going? And for any folks who have left LA already, why did you leave? And if there were conditions that led to you leaving, if those conditions changed, would you come back? Uh, what up, Kali Monk? And when I say LA County, I'm speaking about the city of LA, Inglewood, Compton, Watts, Long Beach. I'm asking, have you thought about leaving LA as far as like relocating? I know you get out quite often, go on your trips, but I'm really just trying to identify from those of us who are still here. Hey, what's up? Our queen sister Demetria K. Brandy Kane on YouTube, got Demetria K on Instagram. Yo, I'm trying to double up so I don't have to make these videos twice or screen record and reshare. But I'm asking folks, before y'all leave, have you considered leaving LA? That's a question I've really been asking folks the past couple weeks, just to try to get an idea of who all is here and who all we got to work with us as far as securing our stay here. And I've gotten a few surprise responses. Most folks are saying no, they are not trying to leave, but financially it is challenging. Got a few more folks joining us. If y'all will answer the question whether or not you have considered leaving LA, and for folks, any folks who have left, why did you leave? Would you come back? If those conditions were to change, Brother Kalimo said, I left. The only reason I came back is because my family is still here. Otherwise, I would have stayed gone. Okay. How about sharing why it is you no longer want to be in LA? But as y'all share that answer with me, I just want to go over what happened this past week. Our sister Demetria K is saying, I want to move back, but California got too much going on. Too pro-illegal immigrants. Most definitely, that is a huge factor for a lot of people, especially considering that, you know, we clearly see pretty much anybody that moves here from somewhere else is prioritized over us. And a lot of folks who are moving amongst us clearly hate us. So it has created a even more hostile situation for us within LA. And that's some of what I want to share as far as things that have happened this past week. Real quick, DJ Kalima is saying, can you do call-ins on the live stream? I don't have that type of equipment hookup. And if you were to call me, it would disrupt my live stream. So, yeah, but most definitely moving forward, I would love to get you back on. It's been about a year since we did the live last year when you were sharing your experience as far as being incarcerated. Crenshaw District where is sharing, I'm standing my ground, but LA is changing rapidly. Illegal immigration has destroyed the Black community. Most definitely. That seems to be one of the two major reasons for a lot of people, the whole flooding our communities with folks who clearly hate us and are prioritized over us, but also affordability and the lack of financial support we're getting. Again, for those of you who are joining, I'm asking, have you thought about leaving LA as far as relocating, not just going on a vacation, but as more folks come in and share that. Last Sunday, we had another great day in the village, our Sunday market. You know, we start off with the food giveaway. It went smooth. Then we transitioned over to where the vendors are at. It went smooth. But then when I got home Sunday night, I got like 3 calls back to back with issues folks are going through. Daily, I'm getting 1, 2, or 3 of those calls. But the first call was from our good brother Tyson, who is a native of LA. He's a native of the village. The area we're claiming is our Africa town. Some know as Leimert Park. But he shared with me that his one of his cousins who stayed out in Victorville had been tased and killed by the San Bernardino County sheriffs earlier this month. And when I looked it up, I was able to find some information on it. Not a whole lot of press. There was a press conference that was scheduled to happen this past Wednesday, but it was canceled for whatever reason. I'm not sure yet. I have reached out to some of the folks who I know stay out that way. They were not aware of it. So we most definitely want to help support our brother Tyson and his family. They're having a funeral for his cousin Willie Blair. I believe he was either in his late 40s or late 50s, but they're having a funeral later this month. But we do want to make sure that family gets support and identifying exactly what happened. And most likely, if it was just another case of abuse, we want to get them the support that's going to be needed to fight that. A lot of folks who may not really be familiar with Victorville, is another racist, pretty much desert area, where Lancaster and Palmdale basically is at. And a few years ago, there were a number of hangings that were taking place in Lancaster. So we know that there is a racist environment out there. So again, if any of my folks out that way see this, please tap in with me so I can connect you with our brother Tyson's family and see how we can come together and support. And I just want to say, salute to everyone that has been on top of this whole Nolan Wells situation. It's clear to us it happened. He was murdered. Unfortunately, felt too comfortable going off being around a bunch of white folks, and they did what white people do. As I've shared several times, I know the same white folks that can appear to be neutral or just kind of ignore you when they're sober. Once they get drunk, the redneck comes out. So between that and other hostilities, it looked like that was happening. White folks thought they had the privilege to take that young brother's life. But fortunately, with this new age of technology, social media has consistently over the past, week or so now since it happened, revealed 2 weeks now, revealed a lot of information, both with his case, but also other cases that have been happening in Mississippi and other areas where Black folks was just getting too comfortable with what they thought were white friends. And, it's unfortunate that a lot of folks fell into that illusion of inclusion, ever since the whole civil rights hoax, and thought they assimilated in. Didn't listen to Dr. King because he told us it was a burning house, but they thought they had assimilated in, and they moved off into communities that was predominantly white, put their kids in schools. And we even seen out here in LA growing on almost 2 years ago now, where after the 2024 election, a bunch of Iranian students, Persian students, went on a witch hunt for Black students at that school right here in Beverly Hills. So, it's most definitely waking people up. And I am hearing comments from folks who fell into that illusion, just kind of like devastated, where a lot of the rest of us, as soon as we heard it, knew what happened and knows what needs to happen. One thing I have noticed that I notice quite often in these situations is how white folks who are in position of power will not hesitate to protect their own. One of the main figures has been the stepmother, one of the suspects, but everything from the sheriff to the DA to the coroner. I even heard the governor put out a bullshit statement, but it just shows the extreme that we deal with when the Negroes amongst us who are given a taste of power sell us out. They don't do a damn thing for us, but here these people are attempting to once again cover up murder. So I know that is another factor as to why a lot of folks are looking to leave. A lot of our people are looking to leave LA because they see we're being unprotected, neglected. And I personally don't see too many options of where to go that's better, because I know a lot of folks have relocated down south, and we're seeing exactly what's happening down south. That is not too much of a better option. I mean, even places where a lot of folks are going, like Arizona, we've been seeing things there. Vegas, we've been seeing situations out there. So, and as I started off speaking about our brother Tyson's cousin Willie Blair being tased to death out in Victorville, that is another closer area where a lot of folks, made their exodus. Lancaster, as a lot of folks call it, Clancaster, and Palmdale. But that is another reason why I and some of the folks I associate with believe we have to stay here on familiar grounds with the relations we have built to fight this madness. But yeah, it's just crazy seeing how these people be on code to cover up murder and even possibly risking some of the positions they're in. I don't know how much what type of consequence they will have to face as this is further exposed and identified as to what it is. But some of the things I'm knowing already, they're already plotting how a potential trial is going to play out. Depending on the outcome of that trial, what the potential consequences may or may not be. This is how much on code they be. Again, in direct opposition to the scandalous, suckers we got in positions with us. But I see there's a couple more comments. Sister Demetri K is saying, very racist area. I believe you're talking about Victorville. White allies lies. That's DJ Novocaine is saying that. On YouTube, we got DJ Collymunk saying it's too damn expensive in Los Angeles, and the politicians and government officials really don't care. They just want to line their pockets, right? DJ Collymunk also says, I blame corruption and greedy people in this district. Most definitely. And it's just crazy. I shared a video the brother that does Suburban LA made about some of the areas that have changed the most. And he was talking about Inglewood and Crenshaw area and Watts. But it just hurts, when you look around and you see it's no longer us and other folks. Right before I started, I'm looking at this party of people, mostly not us. They got a couple black folks with them. But all they've been playing the whole time is black music. And it's crazy how much folks hate us, but yet they are deeply entrenched in our culture, be it music, the way they dress, the way they talk, the way they calling themselves niggas now. All of that shit is very upsetting. Another situation that came up was with the younger sister. I shared her video explaining how her 9-year-old daughter had been molested by her Mexican neighbor. Her daughter was one of 4 black girls who had been molested by this individual. And what I later found out in the week is that the Mexican man's granddaughter, who is also, I believe she's 8 years old, tried to convince the young black girls to not tell on him. And what came to me very possibly is that he may have done that to his own granddaughter. But fortunately, the sister whose video I shared, her daughter did come forward and found the courage to speak on what happened. And the individual has been arrested. He had a court appearance last week. And, the initial courtroom they were in, I heard the lights blacked out. So they got transferred to another courtroom. They were over in Compton at the Compton Courthouse. And they ended up in a courtroom with a black woman judge. So where the Mexican man was asking for bail because he is currently on house arrest with one of his daughters. They have a anklet monitor on him so he can't flee. But the black woman judge denied his bail. And, it shows again, part of what we are up against. And I know some folks will say that, even happens amongst our own, which is a issue that we still have to deal with. But most definitely when we have other people amongst us who don't respect us, look down on us, we can't expect those type of situations even more. And unfortunately, because this is involving young black women, there's been a lack of concern, consideration, urgency to support. So those of you who have been helping, I most definitely thank you. One sister was able to get Fox News to come out and cover the story. In addition to the violation committed by the Mexican man, the sister shared that she is in a housing project and she had been placed there by an agency, and basically one of the black representatives with the agency is blowing it off, questioning whether or not the young women are lying, and has even shown more intention to want to relocate the Mexican man and his wife as opposed to the sister and her daughters. So that is something we are continuing to see how we can support. Like I said, she did have a court date last week that she wasn't even told about. After they arrested him, he was released into a house arrest with his daughter. But then another court date came that they didn't tell her about. I believe it was the reporter from Fox News getting involved. It may have been how the mom found out. But, that's another situation where we want to show support, and that's not going to be tolerated, and that going to jail might actually be the best outcome for them. But yeah, that, is another very unfortunate situation. And the last call I got Sunday night, because I've got another call since, but a sister who started reaching out to me last year about any rental assistance programs. Towards the end of last year, there was another one that came out, and she and a number of people who I sent it to applied, but they have since been getting the runaround. And what we know is, a lot of these Negro Democrats will say it's because of the funding cuts from Trump, but we know even before that a lot of these nonprofits have been sucking up the funding. We now see people getting arrested and indicted for stealing the funding. We're constantly hearing how billions of dollars are going unaccounted for. So by the time it gets to where people are really in need, that is another reason why people are being forced out of LA right now, because the funding that is being allocated to assist us is either being misappropriated, being stolen, or is being prioritized to help other people. So got some more folks who have joined. I'm just asking people, have you thought about leaving LA? And if so, why are you looking at leaving LA? because it seems like almost daily our numbers are getting smaller. And when you listen to more corporate black media, all they're talking about is the bullshit they're doing, tricking the funding off that's being kept within their small circles. You don't hear these motherfuckers talking about shit that's really affecting the people. A lot of these Negro organizations that have made millions of dollars in the name of helping black folks ain't doing shit, but just parading around, having meetings and talks. And so it's getting real sickening, or even more sickening. It's getting more frustrating. And unfortunately, it is having some people looking at leaving the city, the county, the state. And I've been asking folks to, meet up with us offline so we can have some needed strategy sessions. Quite a few of us have been doing that, and some of it, we are putting online. We noticed with this campaign, the great effort that was made to counter and sabotage us. I'm even dealing with consequences from that election still. As I've shared, they forced one of the folks I was working with as far as employment to terminate that. And, they got the tax folks coming for me. But at the end of the day, I'm like, fuck it. Because what I have realized a while back in my life is that even if we were to live 100 years, to us, that seemed like a long time. But in reality, and the ongoing existence of people, we're here for a very short period. And to me, it comes down to what all can we do in our lifetime to advance us as a people as a whole. So I've learned since being in this movement that we have to face a lot of consequences, studying many of our past greats who stood up, and ultimately it even, will take the life from us. So whatever's out there, for me, for us, we're going to face and deal with. But we do want to identify those who are still here and not giving up. I'll read a couple more of these comments before I get to the next thing that happened this week. Sister Dimitri K said, I just sent you a story about how LA is spending nearly $3 million to give street vendors food carts and to pay for all of the licensing and fees. Yeah, I actually did see that right before I hopped on, and I thought about responding. I don't know if I did or didn't, but yeah, some of our vendors did apply for that. It's been promoted for a couple months now. As of yet, none of them have gotten a approval response. And again, we know because a lot of our vendors don't necessarily use those type carts. They more so set up tents and tables or food trucks. But we do have a few who applied and did not get a response. And again, that's consistent with a lot of the resources that come out, part of what I'm talking about right now, how everybody else is prioritized to help them, their businesses. Last year, the county gave a lot of the businesses who they are saying were affected by the ICE raids, they gave them $5,000 each. We know a few years ago, these carts were, they were charging people $5,000 to get carts that were sanctioned by the city to be used. So, but as of now, none of our vendors have been approved for that program that you shared. But most definitely, thank you for that. California Reparations is saying LA is the last black community left. They have gutted out Oakland. Black LA is beautiful. I want to do everything possible to see it thrive and prosper. Most definitely. We do appreciate you, our good brother, for all the support that you do give us, have been giving us on the front line in the reparations fight, but also on the front line in this real fight with us. So we thank you for your continued support. The Dimitri K is saying they did it for the illegals. The wording on it is pro-illegal immigrants. Most definitely, she's talking about the court program I was just speaking on, and that was something we knew, but again, we wanted to find vendors that would actually apply for it, just so we could see if yet again where they deny us our reparations, how they find all these slick ways to make sure everybody else gets funding they need to overcome this financial crisis we're dealing with in LA. I'm gonna switch back over to comments on YouTube. DJ Calimont, is she gonna sue that creep? So you brought up another great point that rose up, which is an ongoing issue we have: the lack of black attorneys who will step up and help. I get folks go through all that education. I actually went through the paralegal program over at West LA College. So for many years, I represented myself. I will help other people fight their cases, right? Most of other people, and we had a lot of successes. But getting support from a lot of our attorneys, it just ain't happening. Unless a case really blows up and gets a lot of press beforehand, they're just ignoring. We've reached out concerning this housing situation. We've reached out with the whole reparations fight, because it's past time to sue the Democratic Party in general. It's time to sue the Black Caucus. It's time to sue the California Legislative Black Caucus for taxation without representation. A lot of folks have put together a lot of legitimate claims we know could move forward if and when we locate the attorneys who are courageous enough to step up. But in this particular case, to answer your question, DJ Calimont, no, we have not been able to find an attorney to come forward for her, because yes, the housing agency needs to be sued. He needs to be sued. And then everybody else who is failing to give this sister and her daughter the support they need. Actually, this sister and the other families who were affected the support they need. But that's the answer to that question. No, we have not found an attorney. DJ Calimont, oh, that message got deleted. DJ Calimont says, when we do our interview, Brother Billion, I must call to the importance of us separating and creating our own private communities, just like the Jewish and Amish. And, I most definitely hear that. The only thing I call to brothers' attention is to look what has happened numerous other times. We've done that. We have consistently created our own community just to turn around and have them wiped out. I shared, I think, a couple weeks ago, some of those communities that we have consistently built that were wiped out. And you're kind of getting me to a point that I wanted to end on. But, I don't discourage anybody who's looking at that. I do believe we got to separate. But unfortunately, as I was saying, our communities get wiped out. And then even like in our inner city communities, as we're now being gentrified and flooded by other people, interrupting our ability to separate. But I do hear you. And like I said, towards the end, I want to speak on that. If you're still here and I don't, please remind me as to what I believe where our focus has to be. DJ Calimont on YouTube also saying, I'm talking about our own grocery stores, hospitals, schools, everything. We don't need these people all in our business. We can govern our damn selves. And again, I do agree with that. But the reality is, every time we've done it, they've come and pretty much wiped out and destroyed those efforts. So that's why I'm saying towards the end of this live, I want to really speak to what I believe we got to focus on before we can even do that again. Because were we to do that again, they would be on it. These people are sick. They don't believe in letting people alone, allowing us to have our own, especially those of us here in the Americas, whether we descend from those who were indigenous to the Americas before it was colonized, whether we descend from those who were kidnapped and brought over here from Africa and enslaved. But they are threatened by us thriving, growing, populating. And like I was saying, that is something I do want to speak on towards the end. There is just one more thing that happened this week I want to speak on first. Somebody else on YouTube is saying greetings. On Instagram, California Reparations is saying the death of Johnny Cochran was around the time he was gearing up to sue the United States. Right. Most definitely. And I don't know if that is what is scaring attorneys today for moving forward with that, or whether they just don't want to jeopardize that access to income that they got. But that is most definitely one of the steps that we need, in addition to what I'm saying I want to share towards the end. Another thing that happened this week, a couple of days ago, I shared at the last minute I got that there was going to be a press conference for a recall out in Norwalk, where, you know, we as candidates in LA County had to go register. But, you know, we got that at the last minute. I shared it about an hour or two after I got it. Then we went, and our sister, Dr. Truth Bay, is the one who shared the information. So when Kevin and I got out there, we did see a huddle of people, all not us, huddled up. And we kind of figured they were some of the folks we were going to be at the press conference with, but we didn't know. And they were standing in front of the building off to the side. So Kevin and I went directly in front of the building. I called Dr. Truth Bay. Kevin called our sister Carolyn Essex, who was also there, just so we all could meet up and huddle up first. But while we were standing directly in front of the entrance, we noticed security was also huddled up, looking at the group of people who we kind of figured were going to be in the press conference. And Kevin even heard them, one individual in particular, kind of plotting on them, talking about, oh, yeah, you know, they're standing in front of the wheelchair access ramp, so we got to go do something about that. And we knew all that security wasn't huddled up just because they were blocking the wheelchair access ramp. But that let us know that somehow they had been notified that there was a group of people coming, pushing for a recount. And that let us know immediately that, like I said, word had got out, but that we were going to be met with resistance in our effort. As far as Kevin and I knew, we were just going to find out information on if there was a recount, how to go about a recount. We didn't know at that point. So when I called Dr. Truth Bay, she let me know she had just walked up and she was with the group that we thought we were coming to meet. Sister Carolyn just so happened to come out, and then the three of us walked over there and joined the group. And by the time we got there, there was an individual speaking known as Raji Rab. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right, but he is one of the, I believe, 80 candidates that ran for governor. And he was expressing that he himself had actually petitioned the Secretary of State, Dr. Shirley Weber, to start a recount. But he shared with us that they are attempting to charge him $9,000 to move forward with a recount. And he shared that to successfully do it throughout all 58 counties in California, he said it can run into millions of dollars to do a recount. So, you know, I shared some of the statements that were made in that huddle. I just briefly spoke because, again, me and Kevin didn't know what the hell was going on. We didn't know any of the people other than, like I said, Dr. Truth Bay, who invited us. We've known her for a few years now. She's been somebody very active throughout the communities, fighting on the county level, the city level. She's been involved in this reparations effort. And then, of course, our sister Carolyn, who is in the race for California Assembly District 69. That's in Long Beach. But none of the other people we didn't know. So pretty much what I shared in those videos, we heard and learned for the first time. After we all spoke, I then started a live to share our experience as we went in. And you can see there some of the opposition we got once we got inside. But once I ended the live, the part I didn't capture, so at the end of the live, we had went up to the 7th floor to try to speak to the actual LA County registrar. And you'll see they had a security line blocking us from even getting to the door. But at the very end of that exchange, which seemed to be somewhat good, because an employee did come out, a staff member did come out, and he answered, or he took a lot of questions he said he would get answered. But you'll see a bald-headed idiot in a red shirt that comes out and starts some unnecessary bullshit. So we had planned on leaving at that point anyway, so we went back down to the 1st floor, and there's a huge LA County registrar sign that some folks wanted to take a picture in front of. So we went and sat in front of that. And by the time we got up from that picture, the same security that had met us on the 7th floor was now down there again, basically telling us we got to leave. And at that point, I didn't take it too serious, because I'm like, whatever, we leaving anyway. So Kevin, myself, and Dr. Truth Bay started walking towards the front exit. And we just kind of stepped to the side for a minute to just huddle up. And we weren't talking, we were talking maybe less than 2 minutes, and the same white idiot in the red shirt with the bald head approached us, basically telling us we got to get out. And so he and I had an exchange, and then finally I pointed out, well, why are you not trying to rush any other people out? I said, you know for a fact we just came here on official business and attempted to question the actual registrar himself, but he just kept trying to muscle up, and he eventually called for other security to come and back him up, and I had to cuss the fool out. And, a couple of the brothers was black, and I had to point out to him that this was clearly some racist shit he was on, because one, he wasn't pressing any other folks in the group we had come with to exit the building. Two, like I said, there were other people there who were in the building who were also standing around talking. So fortunately, the black security did not press the issue like he did. So he just stood there looking stupid, because he wasn't himself about to try to muscle up. But I'm raising that up because I do have to go back to that place yet one more time at least to turn in this final report that is due. So we will be seeing if others can go with us, just in case this clown wants to further retaliate. And, shit got to get ugly when we go back up in there. But, this report is something that is officially due. So if he interferes with that, then he gives us a legitimate claim to move forward with him. But that just further shows from the very beginning of this process, and I still haven't sat down and dedicated a full effort to explain from beginning to end what we've dealt with on a lot of these videos throughout. I've shared bits and pieces, but initially I was saying I wanted to do it for people moving forward in the future, looking to run. But at this point, until we can fix this broken system, y'all, it's damn near useless for me and anybody else to run again. As long as they can fix these numbers as they fixed them, we ended up spending only about $7,000, but that's $7,000, and then just had to spend like that. So in addition to all of the support we found, both in our communities and outside, to do all of that just to have these motherfuckers rig the numbers the way they did, we have to have that fixed first. So that is something, we looked at possibly could be found with a recount. But again, now that we know, the game to that is making it to where it's unaffordable. Unless, of course, you got big money backing you to move forward with that. So that's just kind of where that stands right now. There is not a recount in motion. The recount has been filed, but as far as the fee necessary to move it forward, at this point, it's not happening. So with that, I'll see if there are any. I've been asking folks if they're considering moving out of LA, relocating out of LA. I see your brother Extra Watts, one of the founding members of the Africa Town Coalition, has left a comment on Instagram. He says, yes, Atlanta is full of black folks, black belt, black bloc, black communities. So I'm guessing you're saying you have considered moving there. I actually stayed in Atlanta for about a year and a half. I went out there in '96, right before the Olympics, and I stayed until the end of '97. I'll say I loved it. It was all us. When I left LA, we was really peaking with the whole gangster situation. So, in a lot of areas, we were kind of tense with each other, but out there, it was a lot more welcoming. Every job hustle I had, I was only dealing with black folks. It wasn't until you went outside of certain areas where you actually had to deal with white people. Within the city, you would see some here and there, but primarily you was just dealing with us. Just for me, growing up in LA, Inglewood, it was kind of slow. That winter, I think it only snowed one day, but the weather, I couldn't deal with that shit. And then my folks started a label and, wanted me on it. So that all led to me coming back to LA. I visited out there a couple times since, but, LA is home for me. So that's this is where I plan on staying and fighting and making my transition here. So, but I do understand why people are considering leaving. I do want to, or we are attempting, however, to identify who is here for the long haul and who we can, buckle down with and fight these fights we're having to fight. Snoop the Baptist is saying there is a concentrated effort to erase black history and influence in LA. Most definitely. Oh, that's another one of our reparations family. Most definitely appreciate you, brother, for sharing that comment. Yeah. And, that's part of what this question is for, to identify those of us who have made up our minds. We're going to be here and we're going to get what we're owed. We're going to establish firmly our continued existence here. So I'm going to go over here to YouTube. I see there's another comment. DJ Black says, greetings. DJ Collymunk says, what's up with all my DJ folks on YouTube? The DJ Collymunk is saying, separating from this crooked system is only solution, and if they don't leave us alone, we should not make them feel comfortable, just like we are not comfortable in our own community. Most definitely. And like I said, I do want to give my final answer to where I stand with that. On Instagram, California Reparations is saying, brother, are you seeing more people relocating within the state or leaving completely? And to be honest, I can't answer that for sure. I've seen a balance of folks both, going, like I said, to Vegas, Arizona, down south. Those are the primary areas I've been seeing folks go. A couple of folks have gone to the Midwest. A couple have gone to the East Coast, but primarily folks that are leaving out the state entirely, I'm seeing going to Vegas, Arizona, down south. But I am seeing a lot of folks also within the state, like I was saying, going to the more desert areas. So, which exactly is more, I don't know. But for the past few years, I have been sharing the so-called statistics on that, and it's really looking at people leaving out of LA County. And as I've been sharing, like for 2021, they were saying there was 100,000. Then I think the next year was like 85,000, and then pretty much every year since. So that was 2021, 2022, 2023. So at least for the last 2 years, there's been about 50,000 people for the last 2 years, each year that is left. So over the past 2 years, there's been another 100,000. And let me also share, in those numbers, it's not just talking about black people. Those numbers are for total people, but I do know for a fact that there are large numbers of us leaving, both people I know, but also just looking around our communities, seeing those who are gone, and seeing the replacements that have come. Some more comments. Let's see on Instagram. Extra Watch is saying Los Angeles, California, home of the Black Panther Party, most definitely. History of Black community organizations, that's Extra Watch also. And last comment from Extra Watch, more affordable places, Lancaster, etc. Right, that's where I've seen a lot of folks relocate within the state, even though they're now saying those areas, including Vegas, the cost of living is beginning to go up quickly. So again, it's most definitely a complete effort to shift our population out of these areas. So that's kind of where I said I wanted to get to as I end. Our brother Snoop the Baptist has said on Instagram, they relocated a lot of Section 8 to the desert to make room for gentrifiers and affordable housing. USC bought up all those buildings and turned it into student housing, right? And I found out a few years ago when we were looking into this, any people who see this in LA might not really know the area I'm talking about, but from USC going all the way south to Manchester, and then from USC, which is pretty much Figueroa, going all the way west to La Cienega, they have purchased numerous properties. And it's like, really, how many damn students do y'all got? That don't make no damn sense. But what we have found is, in addition to their undergrad students, their post-grad students, but also after they graduate, they're getting access to these areas and communities now. So USC has been a major driving force in the gentrification, in addition to LA Metro and others. But this is just what I want to offer as I wrap all of this up. And again, I thank all of you taking time to chime in with me and share, where you are as far as staying or going. But what we know from the time they came and invaded the Americas, and some of the writings that were revealed from Christopher Columbus saying we was just too damn nice, where they came to invade and take over, he was identifying the people indigenous were welcoming them and being very generous towards them. And even as invasions were happening into Africa to kidnap our ancestors and force them over here again, it was initially met with very little resistance. So throughout the enslavement of our ancestors, throughout post-emancipation, the many different forms of oppression we have been met with, well, we know these people consistently study us, strategize on ways to hold us down, and that is where we have to get before we can seriously look forward to successfully doing anything else. Our brother DJ Collymont was suggesting, as a number of people have suggested, that we separate and once again build our own communities. But as I was sharing, history shows us they will identify that, target that, and come to wipe that out. So what I am saying is, we know the nature of these people. We have to put more effort in identifying them, those who are showing hostilities towards us, and formulate ways on how we're going to neutralize them and their ability to affect us. I salute our sister, Friday Jones, who for probably a couple months now has really been researching and identifying the individuals who have really been bringing lawsuits against all of our reparations programs. And in numerous cases, we're seeing these are folks from the Zionist community. Again, a community that has not only benefited off of our tax dollars in recent times from all the support they get in response to being Holocaust survivors and sending money to Israel, but we know those slave ships, a lot of their ancestors profited off of that. We know the banks that they run today have a history of profiting off of our ancestors. Their insurance companies, their film industry, their music industry, their attorneys, their doctors have all profited off of exploiting us and have consistently found ways to legally exploit and harm us. So we have to come to the reality that it's not until we come up with ways to identify these people and neutralize their ability to do so. Then we could look at, as our brother DJ Collymont was saying, maybe with some type of fair ground going and establishing another community. A lot of folks say, we got to put our money together and buy these properties. As we've seen, people been doing recently, but a number of these folks are relying on white dollars to do so. Beyond the dollars they're putting together, they're also looking at white investors. So at any given time, those investments could cease, and those properties people have been buying can be, lost. So insanity is to keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. The only thing we have not identified that we're now in that age of doing, whether you go by the book of Revelations, whether you overstand the teachings of being in the age of Aquarius, we have to identify these people and give them all the funk they've given us, reciprocate all the funk they're reciprocating to us. Otherwise, we will keep doing shit in vain, y'all. And I'm not saying that to, discourage anything folks are doing. If you have been inspired to do it, do it. And you may find what many of us have found, that this system does not want us to succeed. And it's not until we identify the folks who are running these systems and neutralize their ability to neutralize us that we will see any true progress. So I'm gonna end there and see if we got any other final comments. See a few more folks to join. I'm just been asking folks, y'all, have you thought about relocating out of Los Angeles? For me, that's a big hell no. But for the past couple of weeks now, I've been asking as many people as I know that question. I've been getting some surprise answers. Some folks just don't see any hope. And then other folks like myself are just saying, this is home. And before we get pushed out, we're going to give them all the hell we can give them. And God willing, identify and build with others of a similar mindset, and firmly establish, what we got, and possibly even build on what we got at this point. But so even if you see this in playback, please share, because we're just trying to get a better idea of who all we have here. Salute to the mighty Minister Hanan, Big T Capone, California Reparations is saying, brother, I'm hoping what's happening in Burkina Faso will bring us a pathway to sovereignty through strength. Most definitely. You know, the fortunate thing that they have over there is that they have organized militaries. And that is pretty much what we've seen in the three primary nations that have regained control of their nation. They didn't rely on democracy. This bullshit ass democracy. They seized control through force, and that is something they have really put a lot of effort into disrupting here. Our warrior class of brothers and sisters are firmly uniting, being on code to overcome the ultimate force that is used against us here within the United States. So, yeah, I too hope that that spirit, you know, resonates in more of us here, because that is ultimately the answer to, you know, us establishing a stay here. California Reparations says, brother, thank you for fighting. Most definitely, I thank you and all of us who are fighting, because that's the only way we're going to have any type of success. Going back over to YouTube real quick, separating from, okay, DJ Kalima, check your phone when you get a chance. I just sent you some information about how the Amish are able to be. Now, see, yeah, we can see all these other people who have established communities within America, but they're not us. You know, everybody else, yes, have been allowed to do that because they're not us. But you will see damn near every community we have established since emancipation, they have put in all the effort, resources, energy they can to destroy that. So, you know, I was out there in Utah years ago, so I'm very much aware of the way different people have their different communities and what they're allowed to do. But again, we have to know when it comes down to us, however we identify, whatever you identify, if you think you're going to be able to establish a society within this society without opposition, I think you just haven't fully studied what's really going on. And again, that's not to discourage anyone from trying, but I say if your thought to establish something doesn't realistically involve some type of military might to hold your ground, I mean, just look at the difference between what happened in Palestine a couple years ago and what's happening in Iran right now. Palestine, not in a position to really defend itself, just had it nation ravaged, whereas Iran right now has forced the U.S. to the table a couple times and has successfully retaliated. I just saw an email this morning where some U.S. soldiers were killed. But that's what it comes down to, dealing with these people, y'all. No matter how well we can articulate going to their courts, you know, if we were able to find a way to get a few of us who are going to really represent within their political arena, it comes down to their use of force. If you look at the amount of representatives we got into the government post-emancipation, they were all violently ran up out of office. So again, that's what I'm saying. The desire to have our own, I think many of us share that, but to realistically have it, hold it, secure it, we have to first and foremost identify realistic ways we're going to exact consequences with those who gonna fuck with us, because that's the bottom line. Whatever we do, they just feel too fucking entitled to fuck with our shit. So got a couple more comments. Extra Watts is saying, I'm continuing the fight with you, Billion. I'm going to continue with my revolutionary journey, most definitely. You know, I know that's in you, good brother. I think that's why we've been down for about 10 years now on the front line in this shit. So I'm knowing, but even like I said, the past couple of weeks, I've been surprised because a couple comrades have said they trying to get up out of here. You know, I know a few other comrades that have bounced already, but you know, it just comes down to me. I'm here, but you know, I know there are at least a handful of us that plan on, you know, riding this shit out. So most definitely salute. My aunt, Key Goddess. Yes, I've thought about it. So she's saying yes, she's thought about relocating up out of LA. And you know, I most definitely thank you for that. You know, I am about to end this, so you might not get a chance to comment before I end it. But I'm also asking folks to share why they want to get up out of here, and maybe even if it's not too much information, share where you're looking at going. And like I said, if any folks who have relocated already see this, if you could share why you left, where you're at, what it's like where you're at, because that was another thing that really made me start looking at this. What's happening with our brothers Carmelo Anthony, Nolan Wells, and a number of other cases that are now coming to light with all the attention those two cases are getting, and even the child situation where that bitch motherfucker chased down the young brother and killed him. As folks are looking to go to these other areas, it's just knowing that the rise in hating us is elevating once again. And even when it comes to folks who people are thinking are going to hold those folks accountable, we're seeing that's not the case. Like in this case of Nolan Wells, they're trying their best to protect those little young crackers from having to face consequences for what they did. So no more comments. DJ Kalima is saying on YouTube Exodus now, and that's why I'm asking, like, to where though, because we're seeing you know, we're under attack everywhere. I can get, you know, folks wanting to go to Burkina Faso, Mali, or Niger, where you might possibly have a chance to stand in ranks with some folks who are currently fighting. But outside of that, we're seeing, you know, the devil has been unleashed in pretty much all territories across this globe. So rather than me going to fight with some folks who I don't know, I do know for a fact there are some folks here who are going to fight with me no matter how ugly this shit gets. So, and plus this is just home to me. This is, I can't relinquish what the creator gave me as a place to grow and build to these devils. My aunt Key Goddess is saying they're looking to leave because I hate this motherfucking place. Woo! And I hate the environment they are attempting to create. But like today, man, this is just a beautiful day. You know, this is just a beautiful day. And this is something we get almost year round here. You know, the water is just not too far from us. They got a fight on their hands when it comes to me. But I do respect and understand those of you who are looking to get up out of here. And yeah, you know, if you still tapped in with us on social media once you relocate, you know, please hit us back and just let us know what it's like once you get to where you're going. And if needed, if we got folks in those areas who we can connect you with, we'll do that. But saying all that to say, I think most of y'all, if y'all have taken the time to listen to me this long, been commenting, I most definitely love and appreciate y'all. Any agents and haters that watch this shit, fuck y'all. Oh, speaking of which, it was one other point I wanted to make. I believe something came up either early this week or late last week that clown ass buster Najee Ali made a video on Facebook saying that he had got information as to who did that tragic shooting over there in Compton. At least one of them, I think, as far as the young woman. And he was bragging about he had just came out the Compton Sheriff Station, and for a lot of us who know that clown, it's just sickening. Because one, we know for a fact for a long period of time he was an actual paid informant, including he spent a good period on the City of LA CERT team. That's the Crisis Emergency Response Team, basically where he went out to wherever there were conflicts and issues, and he would report back directly to the mayor. But he is boasted on his social media, his training with the LAPD. Even this past King Day, our sister Brandy put him on her live, hugging up with the police and taking selfies. And some folks might get a little confused because when there are shootings by the police, he'll go out there and stand with the families and act like he's with them, when in reality he's getting intel. But even more so, I try to point out to people to pay attention that Najee the Flea, he will go stand with families whose loved ones have been killed by the sheriffs. He will go stand with families whose loved ones have been killed by, say, Inglewood Police, Culver City Police. But what you won't see him do is go stand with families who have been killed by the LAPD, which is the agency that he works with. So that's the right ass difference, and what you see that clown doing. And just knowing his record of being someone who was charged with rape in 3 different states. Most recently, one of the women who is filing a restraining order against him revealed in her statement that his wife is revealing that he told her that he was able to beat one of those rape cases because I believe his stepfather was in some type of official position and was able to get him off. And that's when he fled out here. But you can read it yourself on therealnajeeali.com. It's the most recent post that was made on that website. I don't run the website. I do know the individual who runs it, so they quite often share with me any updates. But in addition to that, you'll just see the numerous people who have had to file restraining orders against this clown. You will even see him antagonizing families who were crying out for help as their loved ones were killed by the LAPD. Again, that's the difference. He was talking shit to families whose loved ones were killed by the LAPD, whereas he will try to go stand, most recently in Inglewood with the family of Brian Bostic and a few other families who identified who he was and told him to get the fuck on. But now this clown most recently, I believe, like I said earlier this week, at the end of last week, was in Compton bragging about how he went to inform them some information he got about who allegedly killed the young woman in Compton on July 4th. But now, just a few days ago, it came out that people are saying the person who was arrested is not the right person. But that person, while in custody with the sheriffs, they did identify he is a suspect in another shooting. So if that is who Najee wrongfully informed, that hopefully could play out all bad for his punk ass. But yes, I did want to also raise that up as something that happened this week. And just one last note, I did notice a shift in the week as we started off, like I said, attempting to help people in these different situations I've shared. I saw a lot of nigga shit come up, y'all, and that has consistently been what has sabotaged our movements to progress, to advance, it's when we start turning on each other over a lot of this petty foolishness I'm seeing. I did want to salute a lot of the brothers and sisters who have primarily focused their podcast on a lot of hood stuff. But at least over the past week, I've seen many of them have also been primarily sharing information on this Nolan Wells case. So I most definitely salute them for that. But we got to be determined, y'all. We will not once again sabotage our efforts to advance. Got to go into our own egos and emotions and know that even within ourselves, that can be what sabotages our own existence, our own success, and especially when we get into conflicts and differences with other folks who are led by their egos and emotions. You know, like I was saying, I believe our ultimate answer is in identifying, targeting, and neutralizing these other people who historically keep doing that to us. But one of their greatest weapons in neutralizing us has been us. So I'll see if there are any last comments before I check off. None on Instagram, none on YouTube. So again, love and appreciate y'all. And if you're seeing this after the fact, just share with me whether or not you are looking to relocate up out of Los Angeles. If so, why? Where are you looking to go? And if you have relocated already, why did you go? Where did you go? What is it like where you are at? And if conditions were different, would you have stayed here? All right. So I got to sign out at 2 at once.